microgreen lovers. Today is April 3rd, 2020, and I am going to talk to you about my 3 favorite vegetables for spring succession planting. Now, succession planting is one of my goals this year, to start to try and maximize production. And so starting early spring, I have got this beautiful bed here of greens. And the first vegetable that I wanted to talk to you about is radish. Now, one of the tips I wanted to share with you about spring succession planting is that you need to know which vegetables grow really, really fast, and radish is definitely one of them. So come on up close. Let me show you some of the varieties of radish I've got going here, and I'll also share with you another little tip as to how I do succession planting. Now, this radish is a cherry bell radish. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I've got a few more of those. I've only recently discovered my love for radish because I figured out how to make roasted radish, which is all you need to do is coat them with a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, and throw them in the oven for about 30 minutes, and you have this amazing roasted radish. See, look over here, look up close here. I've got 2 of them growing here. One of them is ready to harvest and the other is not quite. So I'm going to twist and pull out the one that is ready to harvest and allow the other to grow for just a little bit more. Now, cherry bell radishes go from seed to harvest in about 25 days. And you want to look for those radishes that actually mature fast. Some of the others you want to think about are this one, the French breakfast radish. Isn't that pretty? 23 days from seed to harvest. Isn't that amazing? And what you want to do when you succession remove, oh, this is not a cherry bell, I don't know what that is you want to get your next batch growing. So you'll see over here, if you come up close, I've got some radishes growing here already, and these were planted in the spaces that I harvested from last time, which was about a week ago. So what I do typically is in each of the spaces that I harvested from, I put 2 or 3 seeds. Now, usually all of them tend to come up, and as they grow, they kind of push against each other, and so you're able to plant easily up to 3 radishes in one spot. So this is what you do. You never leave an empty space when you're succession planting. You pull something up and you replace it with something else. All right, so the second vegetable that I wanted to talk about, which is one of my favorites for spring, is actually a family of vegetables. It's leafy greens. Now, I consider this bed to be my living lettuce bed. I've got pak choy, I've got red Russian kale, I've got romaine, I've got some black-seeded Simpson, and I come here every day and I harvest a large bowl of lettuce. And what I've done here is this method called cut and come again. So what I do is I harvest just the outer leaves. So, and I'll do just a few. I usually harvest a lot more, but for this video, that's what you do, is you harvest the outer leaves. With pak choy, these are actually pretty tasty, these flowers. And I like to cut them away because usually that signals the end of life of the plant because it's bolting. So I like to put that in pastas and things like that. It's very tasty. This gives you both the cut and come again, as well as the opportunity to grow a head lettuce. So one of the ways that I thin this out, in addition to cutting off those leaves, is I actually pull a few plants out here and there. And I'm going to show you what I do with these plants. So I've got 3 nice plants here. Lettuce is actually pretty hardy, so you don't have to worry about, being too gentle with them. Even though they look so fragile, they're actually pretty hardy. So let me show you what I've done with these lettuces. All right, so if you look at this beautiful bed of lettuce that I've got going here, these are head lettuce. I'm growing these actually to get a head, but I'm never patient enough to let them grow completely to develop a firm head. What I do is I come and cut away at the base. If you come close, you'll be able to see. Isn't that a beautiful head of romaine lettuce? And then I replace it with one of these plants. So I've got the cut and come again and head lettuce going at the same time. Let me harvest one more head lettuce for you right here. I've got some brassicas growing here and the bugs tend to like these, so I've covered it up with some netting. But this is prize head lettuce, and I'm gonna cut this one off at the base here. Isn't that lovely? And I'm gonna get one of these green ones too. These are called cause lettuce, Paris cause lettuce. And let's see, which one do I want to get? This one right here. Now, the slugs really like these, so you'll be able to see my slug traps that I've got here, beer traps. And yeah, they work okay, but I grow enough lettuce to be able to share with the slugs as well. I just come every morning and I pick them off. And the third vegetable that I wanted to talk to you about is peas. These are some English peas. Now, none of them have started producing pods yet, but peas are something that will only grow well in spring. Once it starts to get warm, that's the end of the pea season. So I am always succession planting peas. I'd say every 10 to 12 days, I'm getting a new batch going in my sunroom in seed starter trays, and I'm planting them all over my garden because I just can't get enough sweet peas. And the other in the same category is beans. Those are more of a warmer weather vegetable, so I tend to grow those a little bit later in the season. So I've just started growing my first batch of beans, so there's nothing much to show you there, but those also, every couple of weeks, I'm starting a new batch of seeds. And so that's it, guys. Those are my top 3 vegetables that I like to succession plant during spring. But wait a minute, I've got one more bonus. Let me show you. All right, so the third or the fourth bonus succession planting plant that I grow in spring but actually grow all year round is microgreens. Over here you've got mustard microgreens. Some of my other favorites are wheatgrass, and I also grow fenugreek. But those are my favorite microgreens to grow, and I'm starting these like every 10 days or so, so I've always got something fresh to throw in an omelet, or throw in a salad, or throw in a pasta, anywhere. Microgreens are always great and so healthy and so good for you. Well, that's it, green lovers. I hope you enjoyed my video on spring succession planting and my favorite vegetables to grow. And I hope you live green and love your greens.